Live from the 4 Aces Studios, 4 Aces brings to you West Coast Bias.
The following 4 Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Double K, and we are back here again with West Coast Bias. It's been a while since we've been on this tip, but I am here with the lovely Miss Heather O'Malley. What's up, ma'am?
What's up?
And also the one and only Doual. What is up, my brother?
What's good, man?
All right, we are here to bring you, well, sports from our point of view. And since we all from the West Coast, that's the West Coast point of view, all right? You got three of the best from the West, right?
The only point of view.
All right, so as I said prior to show kickoff here, let's kick off with the most recent championship won, and we'll work our way backwards from there throughout the show. And the one and only Tom Brady securing his seventh, or although according to Miss Heather, only his third, really, because four are tainted, some with Raider blood. We'll say, but to his seventh with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He better be thanking the Raiders, because that game made his career.
I would say it put him on the map, but I would say continuously being in the AFC Championship game and Super Bowls are what made his career. Like,
stop using logic. No, I'm trading in my fuck LeBron for a fuck Brady, okay? Because this is just, I don't know what's worse, the fact that it, solidified him as a player or just really kind of, I guess showing that Belichick wasn't really shit was a pretty good thing.
Yeah. That was something there. Them Patriots finishing 7-9. And Brady reaching the Super Bowl. That's worst possible scenario. The only other time I've ever seen that worst possible scenario play out is with the Raiders and the Tampa Bay Bucks. There's not a worse opponent, even though, don't get me wrong, it pisses me off because if I remember correctly, the Niners beat the Giants the week before and played the fucking and would have played Tampa or did play Tampa and lost. And it could have and should have been Niners Raiders for that Super Bowl, and I would have loved that. But that's the past being the past. But that's the only other time in which I've seen worst case scenario when the Raiders had to look across the field and see John Gruden standing there, the man that basically knew
it didn't help.
Through.
Yeah, and it didn't help that Callahan didn't even fucking change the goddamn playbook.
Yeah.
Let me go in there and use all the same plays created by the coach that we're going to play now. Just because Al wanted the money from trading him rather than letting him go the next season. Had he just let him finish out his contract, we would have had another Super Bowl under our belts.
Yep. I can't argue with that. But that was the last time where I've seen. What's up, Doual?
Everything you just mentioned is an example of having a plan and not having. Right? When the Bucks and Raiders went to the Super Bowl, the Bucks had a plan. The Raiders did. Right? When Tom Brady left New England, Tom Brady had a plan, and Bill Belichick did, and that was evident as to what's going on the field. When you bring in Cam Newton, because you want to switch up your system to this new age revolutionary quarterback, but it doesn't work because he's coming off injury-plagued years. He has to learn a whole new playbook, whole new this, and the other. And as Belichick, you're still counting on having a Brady that can make the system work. So all you have to do is concentrate on making your defense run. When Brady went to Tampa Bay, it was clear he clearly had a plan to take our system and apply it to the success they had last year and win the Super Bowl. So that's just the difference. When you have a plan and you're prepared for what's coming next, good things are going to happen. Belichick had no plan for life after break. None. And so I think he's redoing it now. Go ahead.
I was going to say he had a plan, but that plan got traded away by Robert Kraft to San Francisco. He had a plan. He just didn't expect his owner to come in and derail the shit.
Yeah, true. But I agree with Doual. There's a saying that goes something about planning is 80 to 90% of it, and the execution is only 10 to 20% of it. Without that plan, there's nothing to execute.
But at the end of the day, no, I agree with Doual as well. That Super Bowl, and then Tom Brady had specific teams on his list, and Tampa Bay was one of them. Mm-hmm. A wealth of riches and a need at quarterback was all he really needed. A wealth of riches and a need at quarterback, and he saw Mike Evans.
And also, didn't he already have a home in Florida?
Yep. He saw them running back.
That helps too.
And it didn't help. It didn't hurt him at all that they added Leonard Fournette right before the end of the season. This team just was in. It was one of those things where it was a perfect. All the stars aligned perfectly for them to get exactly where they were. Because I thought, to be honest with you, I didn't see him making it past Green Bay. I was like, Aaron Rodgers is playing lights and out, and then they just went in there and rolled his ass. And that one wasn't.
Dude,
and
I think a lot of.
Go ahead.
A lot of people, I think, lost a lot of money this playoff season.
Yeah.
Because there were a few games that did not end up anywhere close to
the way they
what was. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. But the Super Bowl itself, I would say that Brady did get lucky in one respect. I think it's a different game if Kansas City has those two tackles that they were missing, or the two offensive linemen they were missing. But I still think Brady squeaks out a win. I don't think it's as dominant looking if whatchamacallit is 100% healthy.
And
I'm not making excuses.
I agree, but I honestly think Mahomes was playing with a concussion.
Yeah. Could be.
Because he got rocked the week before, or not the week before, but it actually, not only did it suck because Brady won another Super Bowl, but it sucked because the game just sucked.
Yeah.
It was not a good game.
You're getting an argument from me. It wasn't a good season either. With everything that was happening, it wasn't a good season either.
True.
Rescheduling games and players that had to miss games, and anything that could go wrong did. Everything was unpredictable and topsy-turvy. You could have good news today and terrible news tomorrow. So it was a terrible season altogether. I thought the game was all right, but the Chiefs really not showing up completely as a team kind of turned it out. It could have been a better, but yeah.
Well, and they also didn't apply the whole, like, whatever made them decide to postpone a game uniformly across the league. Like, you could tell where the preferences were, what teams those were. Because look at Pittsburgh. They should have had at least one of their games postponed, but they didn't. And how many games did the Ravens actually have postponed? A couple. Yeah. So it was, I didn't understand that part of it either. It's like, you know, this situation actually seemed like they deserved it more than the other situation. But I think it just, at the end of the day, all had to do with what team and who the owner was.
Mm-hmm. And what teams they felt needed to play and what teams they felt didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the craziness of COVID and trying to run it, you know. Who's to say that they shouldn't have started doing, or when I say they shouldn't have just shut down the whole season, or did a la what basketball did and did a bubble. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could take over like one of the major cities and maybe have like Dallas Stadium, and every game, you know, you'd have to spread out games over the weekend as opposed to just playing on Sunday, but they could have easily done a full schedule at one, maybe two sites. And just had everybody play their games, you know, work the schedule around where everybody who plays everybody, you know, just don't have that schedule where everybody plays everybody else. You know, and they could have done it, but they chose to do the route that they did, and it resulted in a season that as it was. Like I said, I'm with Doual in the sense that it wasn't the best Super Bowl ever played, but I don't know if I consider it as bad as that Rams-Patriots one from a couple of years ago.
No.
But yeah, it was okay, but it could have definitely been a hell of a lot better. And I think it would have been a hell of a lot better had they actually had like serious amounts of fans in the stands. But oh well.
One of the funniest memes did come out of this Super Bowl, though, is when I said I wanted everything to go back to normal. I didn't mean Tom Brady in another Super Bowl.
No shit. But that's what we got, folks.
Right?
And he's doing. It was funny. I saw. Speaking of memes, and Tom Brady, this one came out, and it goes, typical NFL quarterback in today's game, and he's like, and it's like, oh, I want my money, give me my money. Da 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 da. Tom Brady sits back and takes yet another pay cut so his team can keep the band together. The other NFL quarterbacks, how does he keep winning? How does he keep doing it? And it's like, well, take a little less money. Like maybe you don't need $40 million a year. Like nobody really needs $40 million a year. Like I'm not saying they don't earn it. I'm saying to allow the team to be able to use that money elsewhere on the team. Now, if the team's not using it elsewhere,
not everybody has Tom Brady money to begin with, though.
Yeah, true, but okay. And I've had this conversation with y'all and with multiple other people many and many a time. When you start getting into 20, 30, 40 million, like the difference between 25 million and 40 million is really a drop in the bucket. Like, yeah, you can do a lot with that amount of money.
So there's no state income tax.
Yeah, but so when you're talking about the difference between 25 and 35 million a year, like you're talking about pennies on the dollar for once you start getting up to that amount of money. You know, for us, the difference between making $50,000 a year and $70,000 a year is the difference between being able to take that vacation and not taking that vacation. You know, so but for them, like, come on, really, like you can't take. Now I understand also the thought process of, well, what if my GM doesn't use it to actually make the team better? Well, then it's time for you to leave. It's time for you to go find a new team. Like it's just.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, and this is where some of the mentality differs too, and it goes all the way back to showing how and where Tom Brady grew up. He grew up in San Mateo. He went to Sarah High School. His family was well off. he had never wanted for anything. So he already has had that mentality that he's had it his whole life. So whatever. I can understand people who have scraped just to get to where they're at, to be able to, afford things that they've never been able to want to make sure that they never have to go back to that. Mm-hmm. In understanding why those big contracts make that much of a difference to people. And a lot of it has to do with the mindset. And that mindset starts like where you grew up, how you grew up. And, it is different when you've never had to work for anything versus you've worked your ass off for everything you've ever had.
I never thought about it from that angle, and that's 100% truth. Like, the mentality of the different, somebody who grew up in an affluent neighborhood or household versus somebody who didn't. It takes a while. Like, shit, I don't lie to nobody about my road to prosperity, but it took me till I was in my 40s before I really understood finances to the point where I know how to work the system and stay on top of the game and stay ahead of everything, as opposed to what I did 20 years ago, which was not anywhere near that. And so I can understand that, but I can understand their thought process behind wanting to get as much money as they can, especially considering in general and in reality, football players' careers aren't necessarily that long. They're a lot longer now than they were, say, 30 years ago. But which is only the 1990s.
Unlike other sports, you also don't have that like guaranteed money. I mean, you have some guaranteed money, but you don't have the safety net that some of the other leagues have. So with football, it's that. And I mean, do I think that sports and athletes are overpaid? Yeah, absolutely. However, not necessarily if you're looking at it in conjunction as to how much money is made off of them.
Right. I just recently had that conversation with somebody. Yeah.
And here's the thing. Those owners, those coaches, those GMs are going to use you for everything they possibly can. So, yes, you better believe you're going to get every freaking dime you possibly can.
Yeah. Big time.
Because in the end, they don't care about you.
Yeah.
At all.
Get as much money. Well, but that's where I say, like, it all depends on where you are. If you're somebody like Russell Wilson, you know what I'm saying, and you've already signed your big money contract, or you're going to be signing your big money contract. All right, now let's be realistic. Where Russ was drafted, he probably only made a couple of million over his first 4 years winning them Super Bowls for them. But what he made in endorsements, you can quadruple, quintuple. That man probably made a good 20, 30 million in endorsements that year.
Oh yeah, especially with as good and wholesome as his images.
Exactly. So he's got good money. So for him to look at the coach and say, look, go out there, keep this team together, pay me $20 million a year instead of my market value of 35. Or start me with a contract. They can do what are called ascending contracts. Start me with a contract where I'm making $15 million next year, and I make $17 million, and then maybe the last year of my contract I make like 30-something million. But to give that extra money to the team to be able to say, keep this team together, especially if you start winning early on in your career. Take that pay cut. That's something to learn from Tom Brady. Take that pay cut to keep the band together to win as many Super Bowls as you can in however long it takes to win them.
And also, there comes a point in time where you've reached past a certain point where you can even think that you're worth that top dollar anymore, which unfortunately some athletes don't get through their head is, it goes up and up and up until a point, and then you reach X amount of years and it just dives.
Yeah. Doual, your thoughts on athletes and not necessarily what they get paid, but the athletes, not necessarily the elite athletes, not necessarily responsibility, but it feels like responsibility to an extent to take less to help keep the team together in a salary cap league. Doual?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, you're just your thoughts on the athletes, on an elite athlete's responsibility to not necessarily, like I said, not necessarily responsibility or duty to take less, to an extent, take less money
Well,
to help keep a team together and keep a team winning, a la what Tom Brady does to try to keep the band together on the teams that he's with.
there is no responsibility in terms of dollar signs, taking pay cuts, and so on and so forth. Pay cuts. When you want to take that bonus, how much is that? There is no responsibility. And the only responsibility and obligation is honestly to yourself. Whether you're a superstar athlete or you just got on the team and you're on the lower runs, it's all a decision of morality,
Okay.
right? That's when when you're at that superstar level, that's when you have to talk to the front office. And you have to be able to look at yourself, and your team and decide, okay, I'm the leader of this team. All right, we need to spend more money on the team. That means I need to take a $10 million pay cut. Am I willing to do that? You don't have to, right? Why? Because it's the team's responsibility to build that championship team, to bring in the talent and the people to come out here and execute a game plan. That doesn't just fall on one guy's shoulder, right?
Fair enough.
If that one guy is going out there and he's getting the job done, you can depend on this guy day in, day out. There's one guy, and he's doing what he needs to do to earn that money, and he deserves that paycheck. Why would you short it, right?
True.
But if a player and management can work hand in hand and say, look, we have to pay X amount of money to bring you in the proper help that you need, that's when the decision fluctuates. The bottom line is, as far as the player, in terms of dollars and cents, there is no responsibility. There is no obligation. It would be nice, right? It would be great if you could take the Tom Brady approach, right? But how many of those superstar athletes have grown up in Tom Brady's shoes, right?
Very true.
But all of them got to go to a Sarah High School and have a come from a well-off background. A lot of these guys are like Lamar Jackson. They came from the backwoods of, the boondocks somewhere that you ain't even heard of in the state that you barely know. And they're boiling out. That's 90% of the league right there that have come from, when they look at $100, that's like a huge payday. So what do you think is going to happen when you throw $10 million in there? What do you think is going to happen when they're playing this position, right? And their counterpart is getting 25, 30 million, and he ain't already ran the course of that $10 million contract. But you think he's going to ask for 5 on the next one so that the team can get better, and the team ain't went to the playoffs and did nothing from the beginning? You have to pay me, right? You have to pay me for so I can, like they say, it's a business. Okay. You are using me for the, for my body, for your product. Okay? Now, at some point in time, you have to take care of your product.
Yeah.
Right? And if you want your product to perform at its essential function, it would be in your best interest to take care of your product that's generating you these dollars and these funds. Right? You want to cut that short. So it's on management. It's their job to bring in that talent, bring in those guys to execute the game plan. And if they can't do that, then you can't hold it on the shoulders of that one player, right? Yeah. How many Super Bowls did Dan Marino win? Right? How many championships did Charles Barkley? Right? And the list goes on and on and on and on. Because you can't put the team's responsibility, management's responsibility, ownership's responsibility on that one player. You brought in the one player. You have the talent. You have this guy. Now, how are you going to help this guy? How are you going to get together a collective group of people to go out there and do what it takes to get done what you need to get done?
Now, I agree with and understand literally everything that you're saying, and I do agree that from a responsibility standpoint, maybe that was the wrong word that I used. From a responsibility standpoint, there is none to watch out for anybody but you. But here's where I'm coming from, and this is just personal feelings. If I had superstar elite talent, yeah, if I'm coming out of my first contract, you're going to pay me. But once again, that pay can be scaled to where over time I make great money. But initially, while I'm still in my prime years, while I'm still in my years where we can be running the shop, if you can get some people in here with me, those first few years, I'm going to take a little less. And then back in that contract to where the last few years are whatchamacallit. And then there's an opportunity at that point to restructure if we need more cap room to continue to bring together these young bucks. Because I look at a team like Tampa Bay. Nobody really expected anything more than really a whatchamacallit they knew was a possibility with Tom being there. But Tom took a look at this team and said, yo, like, wait a minute. Okay, y'all paying me X amount of dollars. Y'all need some cap room. Let's restructure this shit and turn some shit into some bonus money and shit like that so that y'all can go out and keep these kids like Shaq Barrett on the team. These kids that are going to make it more of a continuous run. So I kind of look at it more so like from that, like what can I do financially? Like I don't have a responsibility to, but from my personal thought process, what can I do financially for this team to help us keep together or get the best possible team on the floor? It's just like I don't understand people that hated on KD's move to the Warriors. Like, isn't the purpose of playing the game of basketball or football or even baseball to be on a team that has the best possible teammates around you? Like, I could have swore like that was the purpose. And as a free agent, that's what you're looking for, is the proper situation where a team can afford you and you can afford to pay you, and they can bring in. Now, basketball has that ability more than any other sport to be able to bring in 4 or 5 top-tier stars, and if that team's willing to pay that luxury tax, they can hold them together all the way through till they retire. And normally, if you win in chips, you're making money, so paying that luxury tax ain't that bad. But I don't know.
Yeah. A la Warriors.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, I just see it a little bit differently. I understand all the points of looking out for self. But for me, and maybe this is because, just like we say, Tom Brady really wasn't that infatuated with money because he always had it. For me, it was kind of a reverse thing. Like, you could give me $1 million and I could set myself up damn near for life. Even in today, couple of good investments, buy a house, buy a car. I'm good. I don't really need much else. And I still got a couple $100,000 left over to live off of. And so I guess for me, as personally, growing up the way I did taught me to, like, well, shit, if I got $15 million, then shit, I don't really need more than that. Because $15 million a year for the next 5 years is more money than I know what to do with in my entire life.
You say that now.
No, for me, I live a very humble life. Like, even if I had millions in the bank, I wouldn't want to be traveling to Vegas every weekend. I wouldn't want to be going to Cancun all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, buy myself a house, buy myself a car, live in my nice little neighborhood, have myself. Now, my house may be decked out. Like, my house may be worth $5 million. But that's because I'm going to be spending.
You ain't going to leave that motherfucker.
Exactly. So that's going to be spending 90% of my time in that motherfucker. But other than that, I don't really need money to go, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to be giving away money to friends just because they friends. I'm not going to be giving away money to people. You know, I'm going to be investing in things that are going to make me money. The rest of that money is going to be invested in things that are going to make me money. And then the rest of it can literally just sit in CD account. I've told this to multiple people. I'm like, if you ever come into millions, put like $2 million in a CD account with 10% interest. Look specifically for the ones that have about 5 to 10% interest. And then think to yourself, can you live off of $200,000 a year for the rest of your life? Because that's basically what you do. Is you have the interest transferred into your main account, you leave that $2 million in there. Every year, once a year, you get $200,000 off that same $1 million, off that same $2 million. So, like, you can give me a small amount of money and I can set it up to where I'm set basically for the rest of my life to be able to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. I don't need to own 8 cars, even just because I can afford it. I don't need to have a different car for every day of the week. You know, I don't need to have a different outfit for every day of the month. Like, just because I can afford these things. Like, why not just keep the money and spend it on things that you really want? But that's just me. That's why I say my mentality when I look at it is like, these players are squabbling over 25 to 40 million. But then I hear Doual, and I hear what he has to say in regards to them, thinking like, well, shit, I'm out here busting my ass for this dude who's making billions off of me, and I've always understood that. So I need to be making my millions, my hundreds of millions off of him. And I understand that, maximize my money. But I'm thinking of those rare situations when these elite athletes have other elite athletes around them. Why not take a $5-10 million pay cut to keep the band together so that y'all continue to have the opportunity to win Super Bowls or to win NBA championships or to win World Series?
Basically, we're also basically talking about, you know, a similar to LeBron going to Miami situation, orchestrating everybody taking a pay cut, not to keep the team together, but to make the team, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
And I guess, I mean, it's all with the same purpose at the end of the day, winning, right?
Yeah. I thought that was the goal of everybody.
Well, yeah, but still, and it's easy to look at just winning once you've made the money, and vice versa. Once you've won that championship, then maybe it starts to become a little bit more about the money, because now I've got the thing that everybody wants already.
Right.
So now I'm going to make sure I get paid.
Kind of a Steph
But
Curry
you have a lot of players.
situation.
Yeah. But you have a lot of players where it's the opposite, where they've made their money, and the only thing that they're really missing from their career is that championship. So, they may take that pay cut to go somewhere where they have a much greater chance of making that happen. Or if them combined with some people damn near guarantees that to happen.
A la the Warriors. All right.
You could say you could say Miami. You could even say Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, because look at who else they went and got. I mean, they reunited him with Gronk and all of that stuff. So, I mean, it's not just the Warriors. I mean, you know, and also I guess I don't really like that example, just because the Warriors to begin with started more organically than just that. Now, maybe them staying together is a bit of a different story, but they came together like organically. It wasn't like somebody just went out and paid for a team.
Yeah. All right. So now let's dig in to the subject I know Doual's been waiting on. We'll start this before break, take a quick break just in case it gets heated, you know. And we'll get to the rest of it on the second half. But let's talk this bubble championship. Doual, since you are the Lakers fan, I'll let you kick off with your thoughts on the Lakers' run and eventual championship, and then dive in a little bit for us into it before Heather takes over about LeBron James getting injured and what that may mean for their chances of repeating this year. So, Doual, you're up.
You know, it's always nice to win, no matter how it comes. It was just another season. It's different because of the COVID and everything else like that. You know, kind of is what it is. 17, you know, still doesn't really feel that way because they haven't been able to celebrate it or nothing else like that. But, you know, it's just another notch on the belt, really. So, you know, definitely a congratulations. And, you know, it'd be nice to celebrate it one day. But if they play their cards right, they can win another one and celebrate 2 in 1 year. So that would definitely be the goal. But you know, right now it looks tough with the LeBron injury. You know, that really hurt. It's glad it's not no breaking or nothing like that. You take the high ankle sprain, and it just kind of it's gonna give everybody else a chance to really solidify themselves. and find, the peak potential in their own game. Because the game is easy when you got guys like LeBron and Anthony Davis to depend on, and to go ahead and carry you through. So you don't have to be a star. You don't have to put yourself in a position to take on the responsibility of winning games. But now that them two aren't there, it's more pressure on a Dennis Schrader. It's more pressure, to be more of a team leader. To be more of a floor general. You get to rally the troops, do everything LeBron does, off the court that translates on the court. The same thing with Montrezl Harrell. He has to pick up, those same responsibilities. Kyle Kuzma, he has to find it within himself. He played at a level, and then he's raised that level. And even this year, he's raised that level even a little bit more. Well, now he has to find another level to raise his game to. Because from now to the end of this season, it's pretty much LeBron for me. So it's pretty much going to be up to everybody else to carry and keep them in a tough Western Conference. You know what I'm saying? In third place. You don't want to fall no lower than third, because then that kind of puts you in danger, losing, with whatever home court advantage means this year. But, we'll see how it unfolds.
All right. Heather, your thoughts on the bubble season? We already know it doesn't count, but
it
where
didn't
do we
count.
go from there?
It didn't count. I don't know. I didn't really watch any of the season. I did watch some of the championship game. It just, we talked about this off air. It didn't seem right to me with everything that was going on at the time. For me, that stuff was bigger than sports. Not knocking it for anybody who was really into it, because I know some people just really needed that. But it just, I almost feel like the basketball season was something they should have just scrapped entirely. Not just because the Lakers and fucking LeBron won again, because it's actually not the Lakers part that I mind, Doual. I don't hate the Lakers. I just don't like you because you have LeBron right now. So that's where we're at. But, I did appreciate the fact that, that the players were allowed to use their platform to speak out on the injustices that were going on. So in that aspect, I'm glad that things were moving forward, so that they were able to do that and show solidarity with people and what was going on in the world at the time. What's still going on in the world? Who am I kidding? But, it just, this season didn't really do anything for me. It was, my team was already well out of it, by the time they got to the bubble. So, there were a lot of reasons why I didn't really pay attention, and I still think that the championship doesn't count.
You didn't pay attention because the Warriors didn't make it to the bubble? I understand.
Hey,
no,
you know what, though?
To be honest, I wouldn't have paid attention even if the Warriors had made it to the bubble. That was
Fair
just
enough.
one more thing adding to it.
Well, I was gonna say, in her defense, she has only claimed to be a Warriors fan. So and to hate LeBron. So that's pretty much in line. But no,
it's okay. We understand your hatred, and we forgive you. It's all good.
Lord, please forgive her, for she knows not what she does.
If we were losing like that, we'd be upset too. But we're not. But we understand.
Oh! So now that them tables have spun around, now I hear that cockiness in the voice. Now I hear that confirmation there. All right, y'all. On that note, we're going ahead.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little. It's okay because that same cockiness was in.
He's been waiting for this. He's been waiting for this. is my time. Come on, dude.
Mr. Burns style. Excellent. Anyway, all right. Yeah,
Yes,
like I said,
yes, I can just picture him right now.
We're going to take our commercial break, our podcast promo break. We'll be right back with more West Coast Bias. You're listening here on 4 Aces Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Peace. Oh, man.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
Hey guys, this is Venice, and I've got a message from a friend of mine about my favorite podcast.
It's your boy, Flavor Flav in full effect. Check this out, everybody. I want y'all to go check out TJ.
What's good, everybody? TJ Johnson here for Voice from the Underground. I am the most handsome.
Big Has.
And I'm smoking my cigar, of course.
You know what I'm saying? The Dutch.
You pick me up in an Uber and a PT Cruiser, I'm calling Lyft.
Cause they be fighting the power, talking about social issues, politics, you know what I'm saying?
And we're not even that good.
Right, we're terrible. Terrible. Tangents all over the place.
And not only that, but they be keeping it fun with the sports, music, comics, and movies too.
Am I allowed to talk?
I think no, not right now.
Shut up, colonizer!
You know what I'm saying? He on Twitter at VFU Podcast. So you can find them. So check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav. Yeah, boy.
Okay, what Flav was trying to say is, check out Voice from the Underground on your favorite podcast network.
Voice from the Underground.
Man brain. You know you want it. You know you need it. Let me introduce you to our team of audio professionals, 100% committed to giving you the greatest extreme comedy podcast of all time.
What's SPH? I'm so super cute.
Send me your orgasmic release videos.
You can get it rootin'. You can get it tootin'. You can get it doing doughies in your yeet. Mi nombre es Tío Yeti. And you just laugh at little Hank. I ain't gonna pretend I's fresh. But looks like you might like that.
And most importantly, I'm Skullfucker. Rah! Go to manbrainpodcast.com to get orally violated. Manbrain out.
All right, y'all, and we back talking that nonsense off air. Y'all just wish y'all could hear it. It's great. Anyway, let's get into the MLB because, you know, we had a World Series champ crowned since they played like, a 60-game season last year. A's actually didn't do too bad. Finished won their division. Fucking went to the playoffs. Won actually their first round matchup and then lost to the damn Astros in the second round. We want to say Giants, I don't believe, made the playoffs. So both teams are looking kind of for some redemption this year and to get better. But let's give some overall thoughts on last year's season, the short season, and the Dodgers ending up winning the World Series of all teams. They finally break through. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. There we go. So wait a minute. So you mean to tell me LA's got 2 championships this year and neither one of them count?
Right. Right. All they needed was the Rams to get one, and it would have been a trifecta. There were no champions this year. Oh,
man, nah. I give credit where credit is due. They played the season. They won. They won enough playoff games to get there, and they won the championship. And they kept yet another championship on the West Coast. I wasn't a huge fan of the Lakers winning in the bubble, but it kept the championship on the West Coast. You know, I'm not a big fan of the Dodgers winning the championship because, you know, as an A's fan, fuck the Dodgers and everything that has to do with them, and especially fuck what's his name, Kirk Gibson. Fuck
We're
him up
still
his
bitter
stupid ass.
about that '88 World Series.
Oh yeah. I'll never not be bitter about that bullshit.
Right.
Yo
right.
limping ass should have never been in the fucking game in the first place. Dennis Eckersley should have struck that dude out. We should have won 4-1, and Oakland should have 10 championships. Fuck Kirk Gibson. It all stems from that play. But yeah. But I have to.
We
like
old, man.
Yeah, we are. But I have to give credit where credit's due. And looking at the now every championship except for I believe hockey is on the West Coast. Oh no, it's hockey and football. Sorry.
Football.
Yeah, hockey and football are on the East Coast. So I don't even remember who won the Stanley Cup this year. To be honest with you, I've stopped paying attention. Like, I got to do some research. My next episode of Double K's Classroom is supposed to be one of my next episodes is supposed to be about hockey. I got to do some research because I don't even know who won the Stanley Cup last year.
I don't either. Don't feel bad.
But baseball is coming back this year. I just recently heard from the Oakland Athletics because, as y'all know, I was one of those stupid idiots that bought season tickets right before the beginning of last season.
Yeah.
So
I had a few friends that did that.
But I like what they're offering this year. Like, the A's are doing this thing called Flex Pass, where you pre-buy tickets, but then you can choose which game you want to go to later.
That's cool.
Like you pay for the tickets up front, and then you get to choose, like, you want to go to this game or that game or this game. So I'm like, huh. All right, that
sounds like it also takes away market value pricing too, which is also good.
Yes, very much so. So we'll see. I'm probably going to get myself a couple of games because I think Oakland's allowing up to 25% capacity. So I think they'll be allowed to have something like about 5,000 or 10,000 fans, maybe 6,000 fans, something like that. So I'm hoping to be amongst them. I got a couple of new A's jerseys I want to test out. Same thing with Warriors jerseys. So, all right, guys, let's take a look at it. This past year, we've had no fans at sports games. We're just now kind of getting that back. We've had championships that don't count. We've had entire seasons that were just plain silly. So let's go outside of the sports world for a little bit. Since we seem to be kind of on an upward trend of getting out of this whole COVID situation, how has this past year been for y'all? Because I know for me it's been a hell of a ride. And life definitely coming out of this shit ain't nowhere near the same way it was going in. But y'all give your thoughts as we come close to wrapping up here. Heather, kick us off. Doual, you can follow her up with your thoughts on this past year. Not only COVID in sports, but just COVID in life.
Well, it's been difficult. I'm an essential worker. There was no downtime for me. People don't stop having mental health crises just because we're in a pandemic. If anything, I saw the problems get worse. That's been rough. Also, the population that I have been working with in prison, their mental health is significantly declined because they've been without visitation for the last year. Imagine having absolutely no physical contact or human contact with the people that you care about. So there's that. I kind of social distanced before it was actually a thing. So that part of it for me didn't really, I'm an introvert, so I'm not always up and out there. The biggest difference though with this is that my choice was taken away, because before I chose to stay home instead of going out, but I always had the choice to go out if I wanted to. Well, COVID took that choice away, but then you think about how lucky I am to have that choice anyways. to begin with. So that makes you think life, and then on top of the pandemic, you know, everything went to hell. And that's been difficult. Seeing the aftermath and the mental health and everything that's happened and how it affects people in ways that you don't even think about, and how much, you know, people have really been affected by the pandemic, by all of the racial injustices going on, you know, our freaking criminal injustice system, all of these things coming together like all at once. And then what happened in January at the Capitol, I don't even know what kind of world we're living in right now. It's kind of frightening. Hopefully we're starting to turn the corner, at least on some of these things. But the people who are out there fighting, you know, against these injustices, don't let these little victories keep you from going for the big picture, because they're going to try to get you off track by giving you little crumbs along the way, trying to distract you from the bigger picture. And just keep fighting that fight, man.
100%. Doual, your thoughts?
Oh no, it kind of is what it is, and I hate to say that, but that's just the place where I come from. This is, you know, the way I was raised. It is always going to be a problem. This pandemic, though, you know, coronavirus and shutdown and everything else like that, is different because of just what the whole thing represents, right? And I think last year, the pandemic, the social injustices, the marches, everything, all of that represents the worst of us. And I think since we live in that age of where everything is, you know, instant record and instant famous, you know, this whole social media thing, I hope we can have a time, sit back and reflect on that. You know, for me personally, I'm a lot like Heather. I'm an automatic introvert too. So it's no problem for me, you know. But then, you know, you get 2 months, 3 months, 4 or 5 months into it. And for me, it was then at that point I started to realize, okay, I no longer have the option to just go out, you know, go be free and do this and do that and do whatever. You know, so that brings on an onset of depression that you don't really allow yourself to feel, because again, it is what it is. So I've been fighting that for the most part, and I've got a strong team with me. Got a lot of good people in my corner, so it's not hard for me. And again, I'm an automatic introvert, so you know, the social distance and shutdown, none of that is hard for me personally. But I represent what possibly 1% of the nation. You know, how many other people are used to going out every day and having a social life, you know, being able to sit and converse and talk amongst friends every single day. That's not me, but that is for a lot of people. To not be able to do that, you know, again, like I said, for me it took a couple months really of just thinking, of just, you know, observing and not being able to do that, to really realize, well, this is really kind of bad even for me, you know. The routine is no longer the same. The schedule is no longer the same. Everything is just at random. Everything is just, you know, it's just what next. You know? And I'm not the type of person that's used to waiting for what's next. Plan, this is what I'm doing. This is what's going to happen next. And I no longer have that. I can no longer plan to just do it. I don't have to wait by ear. When is it going to open up? When is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? So it's the whole sitting there, and it's the whole wait, and we are people of little power yearning for more power every day, no matter what you define, that power being, right? So the little power that we have is that freedom, right? And to no longer have the power of freedom, it's very hurtful. It's very, it can bring you down. So I can understand, I definitely understand the need to want to get back to normal. I want to get back to things like this pandemic over when we can just be free again. But at the same time, though, like, this coronavirus is real. And I'll keep my personal thoughts on it, to myself. But again, it's here, it's real, and it's killing people. Period, point blank. So until we, as a nation, as everybody, get on the same page and, finish the social distancing, finish the vaccinations, and all of that, like, I don't know if it's going to change. We don't really see, an end in sight because it's already been in this room. We've been talking about longer, and still so many dangers, so many questions, so many variables, so many questions, there's too much up in the air that you already don't have control over. And now what little you do have, is no longer in your hands. So, my hopes and prayers goes out to the whole nation, so we can, again, look at last year as being the worst for ourselves, looking at that reflection in the mirror, do some self-analyzation and some healing, and then move forward, like, on a more positive note. Even though as hard as it is to see that happening, it's really kind of the only way out. But again, until everybody is on the same page collectively, that is what it is.
Fair enough. I would have to say I'm somewhere in between the both of you guys as far as my thought process. I'm a very similar aspect of the fact that I'm an introvert by nature. So staying home, not going out, hanging out, not really hanging out with people, really didn't alter my world that much. Considering going into the pandemic, I was working like 11, 12 hours a day at 2 different jobs anyway. So going to work and coming home was pretty much most of my life and doing school. So it didn't really alter what my already pattern was. But what it did alter is like Doobie said, when I had the idea that I wanted to go, like for my birthday this year, to gather people together, couldn't make it happen because other than for a few people, because, people have fears. People have realistic, aversions to wanting to go outside nowadays. And so at the end of the day, although it may not have changed much for me, I watched it change the world around me. And like I said, I don't think that we'll ever get back to exactly what we were before. But that's a good thing because what we were before wasn't exactly working. As far as the social injustices and all that, unfortunately, we still got a long road to walk. There's still a lot of ignorant people out there, and there are a lot of people out there that don't want to learn that we should all be equal and we should all treat each other equal no matter what. So as long as those people exist, idiots like that dude that just went on the rant and rave killing spree and I think it was in Georgia or something like that, the dude that killed all the Asian women, like
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. As long as shit like that is happening, You know, as long as there's people like that in this world, like we really still got a long road to walk. But to think that we'll ever get to a point where none of this stuff will ever be an issue or will ever happen, let's just be realistic, folks. And this is not me being a Debbie Downer. This is not me doing anything other than we're not going to ever get to a point where it will never happen. But trying to minimize it to make it happen as little as possible is definitely what should be the main goal. But like people say, stamp out racism. You can't. All you can do is drive it back into the dark holes where it came from. And that's racism towards anybody. Is by making it making people ashamed to act that way in public. Say what you want to say behind closed doors, but make them ashamed to act like that in public. That's about as close to stamping it out as we'll get. Because people are going to feel the way they're going to feel, and they're going to spread that to their children and to their children's children, etc., as they get on. So, like Doual just said, it is what it is. But I think that he's right in the one thing when he is to say that 2020 forced us to turn a mirror on the world, and I know a lot of us didn't like what the fuck we saw. So let's hope that 2021 can lead to better days. I know one good thing that's come out of 2021 already. You got a new episode of West Coast Bias, and there's more coming. So that's a good thing that's already happened in 2021. You can keep looking forward to it for more. But I think that's about it for us for today. Guys, any last words, Heather, Doual, for the people out there before we wrap this up?
No, that's it.
All right, Doual.
Good night, people.
Good night, people. We'll see y'all later. Like I said, expect us back in about 2 weeks. I'm thinking April 4th. That sound good to y'all?
That's Easter.
Oh, good Lord. No Jesus. Yeah, no Easter. Then we'll shoot for the 11th then. My bad. I don't really celebrate Easter, and I'm not going to have my daughter this year, so I don't know when Easter is and isn't. That little bunny don't come knocking at my door anymore. I go buy my candy from the store now. So, all right, y'all. So then April 11th, then we'll shoot for. All
Sounds
right, you guys.
Good.
So y'all take care of yourselves. Be safe, social distance, all that good stuff. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.